Hey guys, welcome to Boxing Squared for boxing news and views from around the internet. WBO champion Joseph Parker, he says he wants his upcoming voluntary defence to be against someone the public wants to see, not against a bum. Parker's promoter Duco Event said earlier this month they were fielding offers from all over the world, including Russia, across Asia, the US and UK. Some of the names Duco boss David Higgins has thrown around are Alexander Povetkin, Kyotaro Fujimoto, Zhili Zhang and Lucas Brown. About 3 weeks ago, Higgins said an opponent for possibly a December fight would be announced in about 2 weeks' time. So while no word from Duco, Parker has spoken to a New Zealand publication, The Herald on Sunday. See the link in the description. So I'll go through some of the key quotes and then throw in a few thoughts of my own. It's also worth noting the story says Parker may in fact fight in New Zealand next. And if he is, he might train in New Zealand, which would be a departure from his usual Las Vegas camps. So Parker says, if I fight in New Zealand, I'd like to fight someone that the public know about. I'd like to have a good fight here. You can't really fight opponents that don't give you a good challenge in front of the New Zealand crowd. They want to see a good fight and a good event. And if it's a good opponent, someone who will put up a good fight and who comes prepared, I'd like to fight back in New Zealand. It's my understanding that there's a lot of negotiations going on with a lot of teams. Nothing's locked in at the moment. There is a big possibility that it could be in New Zealand. But there's also a big possibility that we could be fighting in the UK. We're still negotiating with Eddie Hearn's team and with other fighters. I just want to fight big fights. Fights that people want to watch. I want to fight an opponent that people will go, damn, I want to see this fight. Right now we have the opportunity to pick who we want. But if we pick a bum, they'll say, no, it's a waste of time. If we pick someone good, it's finding that right balance. A lot of people are trying to lowball us. They see we're from New Zealand, so they try to offer us the smallest. And you see them offering other fighters without a belt big purses. We'd love to have things in place, but they have to make sense to attract us. It's a little hard, but we have to be patient. I'm pretty eager to be back training, and it's important to take time off and spend it with family. The body does need a break from training because if you overdo it, you don't recover as well as you should. Those were Joseph Parker's statements to the Herald on Sunday. So there's three things that I want to touch on in relation to those comments. So in relation to Parker not wanting to fight a bum, the missed Duco deadline, and sort of linked to that as well, the lowballing. I really do like to hear Joseph Parker say that he wants to fight someone that will give him a challenge. That's really encouraging to hear. I mean, the way some of the previous comments from Duco's David Higgins, who promotes Parker, were interpreted, where they were going to be going after the money for this voluntary defence, and the level of opposition would be secondary to that. They were looking to ring the till. They can talk up guys like Kyotaro Fujimoto all they like, but the fact is his record is trash. And a majority of fans do not want to see that fight. No matter the amount of spin that Duco puts on it, a Kyotaro Fujimoto fight is not one I want to see, or from what I've seen in the comment section, fans want to see. There are some that understand that this is a chance to make some money, but beyond it, it doesn't do anything for Parker. If anything, a fight like that hurts his reputation, because he'd be accused of cherry-picking a highly beatable opponent. Another champion who has been widely derided for that sort of behaviour is Deontay Wilder, so it really is a cautionary tale. At the end of the day, Parker and his immediate management team, which consists of family and former New Zealand Supreme Court Judge Bill Wilson, they have the final say over opponent selection. So Parker has some measure of control. He has to agree to the fight, and it sounds from what he's saying, he's hearing what the fans are saying. They do not want a bum fight. It is interesting though, after making such a goodbye statement regarding New Zealand earlier in the year, that New Zealand now is back in the mix again for a fight. I guess that possibly reflects the fiasco of the Fury fight in Manchester, in which the arena was about 1/3 full, And maybe it also recognises that Parker yet doesn't have the profile and star power to pack out arenas in some foreign countries. Albeit we know with the Manchester situation, the level of promotion contributed to that situation. But in the same breath with that, Parker and Fury star power, it wasn't pulling people in. In New Zealand, Parker is a big fish in a small pond, and he does have pulling power. He sold out the 12,000 seat indoor arena, the only arena of that size in New Zealand for the Ruiz fight. And it must be said there was effectively Parker mania in the month or so before that fight in December 2016. So in hindsight, perhaps they're looking at the money that they were making and the options and thinking, well, the grass wasn't so green on the other side for the Fury fight. In New Zealand, it's always going to be a good and viable fallback option as long as Parker holds the belt and holds his popularity. At the start of October, Duco's David Higgins, so he said he hoped to announce a fight for December or January in about 2 weeks' time. So that about 2 weeks, that's come and gone now. And the Herald on Sunday story, it noted February as a possible month for Parker's next fight. So it's really, it's a bit hard to get a real read on what's going on here. In one breath, Parker says Duco have ongoing negotiations with a lot of teams, but in the next he says a lot of people are trying to lowball them. We don't know how much these offers are and the particulars around them. But you'd have to contend, if everyone is so-called lowballing, does that actually mean that Duco is overvaluing what a fight is worth? They've effectively said already they want to cash in for this next fight, and understandably so, but perhaps the expectations need to come down a bit. Maybe they need to be checked. The other option is to string out negotiations and wait for that golden offer to come. I mean, maybe that's what's happening. We are now 3 weeks on from Higgins' 2 weeks deadline. But the time frame for this fight, it does look like it's pushing out from the end of this year to early next. And they even said possibly February. I do have to wonder as well, and this is just something else to throw into the mix here. Remember, Hennessy Sports, it made a complaint to the WBO over the Parker Fury result. I wonder, is that complaint holding up an announcement for a fight? I mean, the WBO referred part of the complaint to its championship committee to consider. We haven't heard the result of that. It's dismissed part of the complaint, but not the other part. They're looking to see if there were irregularities. They're investigating. So I have actually asked the WBO, is that process, does that have to be concluded? Does it have to be resolved before Parker's next fight can be made, can be announced? So I'll update you with any developments. But I definitely think that Parker's comments, of not wanting to fight a bum, and wanting to fight someone who is actually a good fighter, someone the public wants to see, it does run a little contrary to what some of the prospective fights Duco was looking at. I mean, Kyotaro Fujimoto, most fans would say that is not a fight that they want. But I guess ultimately money talks. So we may still see a fight we don't like. And I'm sure they'll try to tell us it's a credible fight no matter who it is, even if it is effectively a bum fight. But it is good to hear Parker say that he wants to fight the best, or he wants to fight really good opposition that the public wants. I mean, ultimately, you have to look after your fans because they can turn on you in the drop of a hat. But we'll have to see. What do you make of this whole situation and Parker's comments? Do you think they will actually follow through and fight someone the public wants, or are you expecting them to turn around and chase the money? That's what we had been hearing in recent weeks. Drop a comment, hit like, hit subscribe, follow me on Twitter, boxing_squared. That's boxing_squared. I'm out.